Halloween Horror Nights is the nation's premier Halloween event and one of the best in the entire world. However, even for such an event like this, there are still some areas that are in desperate need of improvement. In today's video, we'll be breaking down one of those key areas that needs improvement and how this could benefit HHN as a whole. More of that coming up next. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel that takes you through the fog with our final part of the three-part series for the changes we want to make to HHN.
This video will be diving into one of those segments that we spoke about in our first video that we wanted to get more in detail about, and that is enhancing the queue lines at HHN. And just like we said multiple times already, this will all lead up to our live stream on Tuesday, April 2nd to discuss all of this and even more with you all. So stay tuned for that one.
Now we have multiple ideas for HHN as far as enhancing the queue lines to make the experience better for the guest. However, in this video specifically, we're only going to be diving into two of those ideas and how they could benefit the event. And the first one that we're going to be getting into is more scare actor appearances.
The one moment that kind of comes to mind for us is back in HHN 30 when we had Jack, who was roaming around the park and going to the different house queue lines throughout the night. So not only did we have him at the opening ceremonies and also in the Hollywood Scare Zone, but during the night, at random times, he would come to the queue lines and surprise guests.
We actually got really lucky with HHN 30 going multiple times and seeing Jack in different queue lines for different houses. So it wasn't just like in one queue line. We got to see him back when we went to Hill House, when we got to go through Beetlejuice, we saw him in there, and then back in the sound stages, really through all the sound stages. It wasn't just like one line you had to be in to see him. He would just kind of roam around. This was a unique experience, something I've actually have never really had at HHN. We've seen scare actors in past times like walk through with like their little like hoodies on and stuff like that. Like, that's neat. You can see them when they're leaving the house, especially around the sound stages. But as far as like a specific character whose purpose is to be at the queue line to like interact with the audience, that's the first time and only time I've ever had that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like scare actor dining. Like, we don't have that anymore. And that was really the one area other than the streets where you got to really interact with the scare actors. And on top of that, we know that some of these lines can, you know, get up to 2-3 hours long, and just having some sort of interaction there, some sort of entertainment can really help to make it more enjoyable and make it go by faster.
Yeah, and I like specifically going back to, I'm going to keep using the reference that we had with Jack from HHN 30 when we were going to the Haunting of Hill House. I'll never forget like him actually speaking with us, interacting with us. I was taking a video of him, and you know, excuse my language, but he's like, you know, you're getting a good view of the ass right now.
Hey pal, you're taking a picture of my ass.
And it was just because he was walking in front of us, and he came up and just took some photos with us and just engaged with us. Like, that made that queue line experience more for us. Granted, you know, when we were going in, it wasn't a long wait. It was later in the night. But I could just imagine having 60-minute wait, 50-minute wait, 20-minute wait, you know, 200-minute wait, no matter what the wait time is, you know, you're just kind of standing there. So having a character come in and like speak with the audience for like a minute, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just drive by, you know, talk with them, engage with them, maybe talk to somebody specifically, take some photos, and then dip out of there. 5 minutes max. It just gives more to that waiting experience of nothing going on. And what it does is it actually refreshes the brains of everybody. So it's like you're on a new clock now. It's like we were waiting 20 minutes. That happens next, you know, 40 minutes has passed. We're almost up to the beginning of the house. So having more of those character experiences could help a lot.
Yeah, and especially when you're at HHN, you've been there all night, you know, you're waiting in these queue lines, and it gets to a point where you get kind of tired and you're just standing there, and having, you know, something kind of wake you up, it definitely helps get the energy back into you for the rest of the night. And moving on to our next and final segment, it's going to be introducing an HHN mobile experience. And we know you might be thinking, what do you mean by an HHN mobile experience? Because they do already have the universal app that has different things for HHN within it, but they don't really use that for engagement within the queue lines. And we think that that could be something that, you know, could speed up the queue lines and just make it a little bit more fun, is really using, you know, the mobile app to engage with people at the event.
Exactly. But how and what we have in mind is, like, it would be really cool if they did trivia as one, and we also like the idea of doing like live time polls with the audiences in the queue line and even throughout the event as a whole. So we'll talk about the trivia part first, because I really like the poll idea. We'll get into this again. But the trivia idea, like, you can have an account on the Universal Mobile app, like we do, like VillainCon, right? Where it tracks your score and stuff. So for the night, you can create an account, and for the night, you can go ahead and track your trivia account score, how much you've gotten right, and everybody can see who's the leaderboard, who's on the top, and all that. And that could even be counted throughout the entire event as well, to see at the very end of the entire event who has the best score as far as trivia goes.
Yeah, and then with the polls, you know, that would be really fun because we have the projectors, we have, you know, the TVs by the stage by Rip Ride Rocket, and we've gotten complaints from other guests that, you know, the videos that they play kind of end up going on a loop, and when you're in line for 2 hours, you watch the same videos like multiple times. So if they use those to put up, you know, the live polls, so it could just be like, what's your favorite icon, or what's your favorite house for this year? And that way, you know, people can watch which one is winning and vote for their favorite and see if their favorite's winning.
Yeah, it builds excitement amongst everybody. I mean, I picture specifically the location that I have in mind is the one right in front of Rip Ride Rocket. That's what comes to mind with the 2 screens. That's kind of like the big hub area for a queue line. Could you imagine, even that, in the one in the sound stages, could you imagine having all these people standing there and saying, you know, what's your favorite icon of the event? Let's just put up Jack and Fear. And the voting is happening in real time. So you see these bars going back and forth, and the audience, I feel like you would get like engagement from them, from the source of like hearing everyone like cheering for certain ones, going back and forth. So it would just create this atmosphere engagement that I don't think we've ever really had at the event before to that extent. So getting that would be really cool.
So that's going to do it for this video and for our changes that we want to make to HHN series. And we do have more that we want to dive into that we have a lot of ideas about. So we're going to be talking more about that, as well as this video and that live stream coming up.
If you guys enjoyed today's video as well as this series, be sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on our future Halloween Horror Nights content, because we have a lot more coming up very soon for you guys for this year's event. And with that being said, we look forward to seeing you guys in tomorrow's live stream. And like always, we'll catch you guys in the fog. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.